Guys, every single year in fantasy football, undervalued rookie wide receivers always seem to be making a difference. Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., Jalen McMillan, even Xavier Worthy was a top 10 wide receiver last year in the fantasy playoffs. We need to be targeting these guys in drafts, and the reason they are undervalued is because they are rookies. Unless you are a Marvin Harrison or a Travis Hunter or a Tet McMillan, sometimes the majority of fantasy football players, managers, don't know about you. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through 6 late-round wide receivers who I think are sleeping giants. We need to be targeting them in drafts. I think they will dominate down the stretch like a Ladd, like a BTJ, like a McMillan. Let's get into the first guy here, and it is Trey Harris, drafted to the Chargers. Now, let's just start with the landing spot. The Chargers have been begging for a wide receiver 2 to step up. Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnston, right? These guys are not legitimate starting complementary wide receivers in an offense. They're just not. They're just not. We've seen flashes here or there. Sometimes you get lucky, throw them in the flex during a bye week. They're just not consistent fantasy producers. I think Trey Harris can step into this Chargers offense and truly win the wide receiver 2 job, truly put up fantasy relevant numbers like we've wanted Quentin Johnston to do for the past 2 years. The offense is great. They score a ton of points. They're in a good division to score points in. And I think Justin Herbert is an elite quarterback. I know that's a potentially controversial take, but in terms of pure passing, I mean, it's like Burrow, and then it's like Herbert. Okay, that's the list of guys who I would want throwing the ball to my wide receivers. Trey Harris, monster. Ole Miss final season last year. Among all wide receivers, 4.1 yards per route run versus zone. That's second best. And 9.3 yards per route run versus man. That is first best. So he's dominating versus zone, dominating versus man. It literally doesn't matter what you throw at him. He's cooking you, okay? And in 2024, last season, he only played 8 games. Get this, over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. So Trey Harris, out of Ole Miss, drafted to the Chargers, man. They had such a good draft with this guy and Omarion Hampton, among others. So all over Trey Harris. The second guy we are talking about here, and before I get into the second guy, you're not going to find Travis Hunter. You're not going to find Tet McMillan on this list. We're looking at late round guys, right? We're looking at late round, late mid round guys. 100th overall, 120, 150, 90 overall, okay? Kyle Williams out of Washington State is the next guy. And I'm going to show you at the end of the episode where you can draft these guys in a mock draft here, because truly the teams that you can draft with these undervalued rookies is awesome, all right? Kyle Williams out of Washington State, his final season last year, he had back-to-back 3 touchdown games. He had 5 games over 100 receiving yards. And in total, he had just about 1,200 receiving yards and 14 touchdowns on the season. So that is an incredible stat line with some incredible accomplishments. Drafted to the Patriots. He has an immediate opportunity to be the wide receiver 1. I mean, among the rookie wide receivers, other than Tet McMillan, I mean, and even there on the Panthers roster, you got some good receivers. Love Jalen Coker. Right? I mean, among all the rookie wide receivers, Kyle Williams might have the clearest path to true wide receiver 1 target share and volume. Drake May is looking awesome. His rookie season reminded me of Josh Allen's rookie season in a lot of ways, and I just view, like I said, the wide receiver room as being completely wide open. His player comps are like a Ladd McConkey, a Jaden Reed, a target earner, okay? Target earner with big play potential. Moving right along. Not much of a sleeper here. Should be a household name, you know, if you watch college football. But to some of you guys, he's not. And I think he's discounted in drafts because Jalen McMillan still exists. Chris Godwin's coming back. Mike Evans is still a stud. Okay, Liam Cohen has left the offense. But with all that being true, Ameer Ibuka out of Ohio State is going outside the top 100 picks in drafts. And that is too far down the board. Ohio State University wide receivers with 2 1,000-plus yard seasons to their name. There are 2 players on that list. Marvin Harrison Jr., who one of the best college wide receivers ever. And then you have Ameer Ibuka. He is the career Ohio State record holder for receiving yards with just about 2,900 and receptions, 205. We've seen that Baker can support 2+ top 24 wide receivers. Chris Godwin is going to be eased back into the offense. He's going to be about 80% to start the season, and then, halfway through, he'll be back to his old self. But let's just say Mike Evans is doing his thing as the wide receiver 1 there, probably. It's really between Ibuka, in my opinion, and McMillan to start the season in that wide receiver 2 role. And if you wanted it to be McMillan, would you have gone and drafted Ameer Ibuka in the first round? I don't think so. And honestly, just in terms of who I think is a better receiver, it's Ibuka, okay? It's Ibuka. So I see a monster rookie season coming. Even if Godwin and Evans are fully healthy, they are veterans, and you never know with veterans, okay? Moving on, we have Jaden Higgins. Now, this guy's going pretty deep in drafts. The last 2 seasons he's played in college, okay? On average, over 1,000 receiving yards, 1,083, 70 catches, and 7.5 touchdowns per year. Insane. Last year, he earned targets among all wide receivers. 5th most targets, 129. 6th most catches, 87 catches. And he is an absolute red zone monster. 9 touchdowns last year. Drafted to Houston, so I think this is a perfect complement for Nico Collins. I mean, the offense is going to be pass first this year. No longer are we getting the Joe Mixon 45 touches per game. That's awesome. We have Nico Collins as the clear 1. And then behind him, we don't really know. We have Christian Kirk. We have Tank Dell. I mean, sounds to me like Jaden Higgins can step right in and just be a monster complement to Nico Collins. All right? Next up on the list is Matthew Golden. Now, we talked a little bit about Kyle Williams and how he can step right in and be the wide receiver 1 on his team. I think Matthew Golden is in a very similar situation. The only problem is we haven't seen LaFleur be willing to say, hey, my wide receiver, you're my wide receiver 1, right? We haven't seen that. Whereas I feel like the Patriots want somebody to do it, and no one's doing it, okay? And a quick note on the Patriots. I'm going to get a Diggs comment here or there. That's because I'm not really bringing up Diggs because he's not going to be fully healthy until about halfway through the season. And I want wins now. I want wins to start the year. And if Kyle Williams is going to let me do that, they're not going to sit him down when Diggs comes back. I think both can be pretty good for fantasy. All right, anyway, back to Matthew Golden. So last year, his advanced metrics among wide receivers, absolutely elite. 13.5 average depth of target, 2.1 yards per route run, and a 6.5% drop rate is very low. He also had career highs last year in receiving yards, catches, and touchdowns. So, I mean, he's never been playing better football than he is right now. And at the Combine, he was the fastest wide receiver by like a very easy amount, okay? And he got first-round draft capital. So Packers are famous for drafting good wide receivers and not giving them opportunity. I'm interested to see if they do the same thing, all right, with Matthew Golden since he was a first-rounder. Now, next guy, Elly Yamoah. He is a classic X-wide receiver out of Stanford. He gets deep targets. He earns those. He has exceptional body control, ball tracking, efficiency. And he's projected as a week 1 starter for the Titans. When I look at the Titans wide receiver room, guys, Treylon Burks, not very good. Not very good to say the least. Tyler Lockett, who is like a double veteran on the verge of retirement. And then Calvin Ridley, who is a veteran, 30, whatever, how old he is. But he's a veteran, still good. Quote, worst case, I mean, I think that Yamoah is stepping in as the wide receiver 2 here. That door is certainly open, and you never know, could always overtake a guy like Calvin Ridley and become the wide receiver 1, especially if Cam Ward is putting out what he's supposed to be, drafted as the first overall pick. Now, let's hop into a mock draft, guys, and let's see the type of rosters we can build with these guys. First of all, let me look at rookies only here on Sleeper. Let me take a look at where these guys are going in drafts. So, as I mentioned, Tet McMillan and Travis Hunter, 69th overall. That's nice for Tet. And then 74th overall for Travis Hunter. So they weren't mentioned in the video, but outside the top 100, all the players we mentioned are outside the top 100. Matthew Golden, 105. Ameer Ibuka, 128. Luther Burden, I did not mention. I'm not very high on him. I just don't think there's enough to go around there in Chicago in his first year. And I'm hearing bad things about him like off the field right now. So anyway, Jaden Higgins, 131st overall. Trey Harris, 135. Kyle Williams, 151. Jack Besh, we didn't mention, 154. I'm actually seeing this guy Thornton, I believe, out of Tennessee. Another rookie. Yeah, Dante Thornton is playing over Jack Besh and the Raiders. So again, we're getting into deep sleeper territory with these latter names. But let's see the type of team we can build. Obviously, guys, we're just going to go ahead and start the draft here and see where we get assigned. We get the 103. Saquon and Chase are off the board. And I'm just going to do what I would do if this were I'm just going to do what I would do if I was really drafting right now. So Bijan Robinson's my 101. Let's take him here at 103. Not going to spend too much time explaining to you guys my early picks here. Just subscribe to the channel. At some point, you will hear about why Bijan's my 101. Clear. If not, you can also just go watch any of the videos I've posted before this one where I have taken the time to explain every single one of these picks. But coming back to us here at the 210, we have Bijan to start. Let's see what we can do here. Ladd McConkey's on the board. Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, some names I like there for sure. McBride has gone off the board. Okay, let's go back to RB. Is that what we want to do? Yeah, see, I'm a bit stuck here because, all these guys, Bucky Irving, I'd rather take a couple guys after him. Like I said, wide receiver, Ladd's on the board, which is cool, but potentially some other guys I'd rather have. Trey McBride's gone. Okay, give me a quick second here to think. Too early for Lamar. Josh Allen already went. Okay. Let's go with... screw it. I'll take Bucky Irving. ADP of 19. We get him there at 22nd overall. We have Bijan and Bucky to start the draft. I do prefer Josh Jacobs and then Jonathan Taylor, but let's see how my team looks if I take Bucky. It's always good to take some players who you might not be as high on, right? And see how the team looks. See how you feel about it. So that at draft day, if you get put in a situation like I just was where I didn't love the board, you're more prepared for it. Now, we have 2 running backs through 2 rounds. Obviously, we're going to go hit up the wide receivers. And T. Higgins is on the board. We're going to draft him. I think he has wide receiver 1 overall ceiling. I really do. We just put out a video earlier this week predicting the wide receiver 1 overall, who it could be, thinking about who it could be, and I will spoil it for you. Higgins was on the list. I'm not saying he was the only guy I thought, but he was absolutely on the list. Now, through 3 rounds, we have Bijan, Bucky, and T. Obviously, wide receiver is a bit weaker. But lucky for us, there are 2 wide receivers at the top of the board, Courtland Sutton, who I'm going to select, and DK Metcalf, who I really like in fantasy this year. And if DK makes it back, he does, we're going to take him too. So we have Bijan, Bucky, T. Higgins, Courtland Sutton, and DK Metcalf. Pretty awesome. Now, the wide receiver crew here is very good. That's a very solid core. I have all of those guys in my top 15. So, obviously, this is a video about rookie wide receivers. Let's chill. Okay, let's chill out on the wide receivers. As we can see, only Tet McMillan's been drafted so far. Hunter will go next. Once he does, we'll go back to the wide receiver for that second flex spot. I probably should have mentioned, guys, the roster format. 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 flex. Okay? All right. Let's take a look at tight end and QB. We've yet to draft him. And there's one man who is on my list here, and it's going to be Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce at the end of the 6th round. I will happily draft the greatest fantasy football tight end of all time, who was averaging 10-plus targets per game over the final 2 months of last season at the end of the 6th. I'm just going to do it every time. All right? As for QB, you guys know me. I like to get my top 10, top 12 QB. Jared Goff's on the board here. Bo Nix. We do have Courtland Sutton, so let me go ahead and draft Bo Nix. All right? So the team so far, through 7 rounds, I'm very much liking it. Bo Nix, Bijan Robinson, Bucky Irving, T. Higgins, Courtland Sutton, Travis Kelce, DK Metcalf. When it comes back to us here at the end of the 8th, we'll be looking at the rookie wide receivers. Okay, so before us, off the board, at 8:07, Brandon Ayuk. At 8:08, Justin Herbert. At 8:09, Jordan Love. So those 2 QBs there, Herbert and Love, end of the 8th. I do really like those picks. Same thing with Murray at 8:06. Looking like this year, guys, the 7th, 8th round is kind of a sweet spot for QBs. Even Jared Goff going at 8:03, if that's your guy. He's not really my guy. But we are back up at the 8:10. Taking a look at the board, all these guys we like so much. Matthew Golden, Ameer Ibuka, Jaden Higgins, Trey Harris, they're all still on the board. All still on the board for that second flex spot. Let's take a look in general, though, who's available, right? We have those options, wide receiver, versus the likes of Jalen Warren, Cooper Kupp. I'll tell you right now, I'm taking a lot of these rookies over Cooper Kupp. Stephon Diggs. I'm taking basically all these rookies over Stephon Diggs. Caleb Johnson and Travis Etienne are 2 wonderful picks. I'm going to go ahead and draft Etienne just to add a little more beef to that running back room, if you will. Josh Downs is on the board. We're going to take him. All right. I prefer a Josh Downs over all of the rookie wide receivers I mentioned today. But coming back to us in the 10th round, we will go ahead and take a look at these rookie wide receivers because you can really get them this late. We're talking bench players who, maybe some of them immediately, maybe some of them 4 or 5 weeks into the season could just be absolute monsters for your team. And there it is. Ibuka at the 10-10 coming back to us. We're going to take Trey Harris, who I prefer over Jaden Higgins, at the 11-3. So just sleeping in the corner. the sleeping dogs in the corner of this roster. Ameer Ibuka, Trey Harris, and Josh Downs all on the bench, all drafted 9, 10, and 11th rounds. Josh Downs we didn't talk about today, but he's one of my favorite players to draft in fantasy drafts. Let's keep looking here. We're back up at the 12-10. Kyle Williams, bang, get on the team, 12-10. Pat Bryant, Jalen Noel, okay, some names. Elly Yamoah is going outside the top 200 picks. I'm not going to take another one, but you guys get the idea. I mean, this is the way you want to structure it. Really just hammer these high upside players late. I mean, like I said, these players, guys, last year were the players. Like Brian Thomas, Ladd McConkey, Jalen McMillan. Obviously, Ladd and BTJ weren't going 150th overall, but they were going in the 9th and 10th, maybe even the 11th. All right, Jalen McMillan was going in the 12th, 150th overall, wherever it was. Okay, so some of the best picks you can make here in fantasy. And if you take enough shots, you shoot enough shots, some of them are going to go in. Some of them are going to hit, okay? And to finish this, last pick in the draft, let's just try to find a player I like here. Trey Benson. Get on the team, brother. Welcome to the squad. So the final roster here, and guys, let me just show you let me just take away my face cam here for a sec. Okay. So you can see the whole draft board. So the first round, I had been blocking it on YouTube. The first round was Barkley, Chase. We got Bijan at 3. Jefferson, Gibbs, Lamb, St. Brown, Neighbors, Henry at the 109, Brian Thomas 110, Puka at 111, Achane at 112. Then, to start the second, Nico Collins, McCaffrey, Bowers, A.J. Brown, Drake London, Genty, Allen, McBride, 209 JSN, 210 Bucky Irving. That was us. 211 Tyreek Hill, and then Lamar at the 212, okay? Now, the final roster for us, dare I say, I'm pretty happy with it, okay? Bijan and Bucky at the RB positions. Bo Nix throwing to our wide receiver 1, Cortland Sutton, who actually is our wide receiver 2 because we have T. Higgins, we have Travis Kelce, DK Metcalf and ETN in the flex, and then our bench is just absolutely supercharged with the likes of Ameer Ibuka, Trey Harris, Kyle Williams, Josh Downs, and Trey Benson. Guys, that's going to do it. At NOEXPERT FF on X, at Joe Arico FF on X. Oh, God. Okay, bye.